Geno Smith is one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and the truth is, that's starting to change. Slowly but surely. Whether you like it or not, the Raiders made a move that could end up flipping the AFC West conversation on its head, and it all starts under center. I know a lot of fans rolled their eyes when the trade was announced. They saw Geno's name, they thought of his early career struggles, and they immediately decided it was a bad move. But what if I told you that Geno Smith, the same guy many wrote off years ago, has actually been playing like a top-tier quarterback? And I'm not just throwing that out there to spark controversy or clicks. There's real data backing it up. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't about hype or narratives. This is about performance. And if you've been paying attention to what Geno's done over the last couple of seasons, especially when it comes to throwing under pressure, making big-time throws, and protecting the football, it's hard to deny that he's become a seriously reliable presence at quarterback. Still skeptical, that's fine. You don't have to take my word for it. But when an analytical giant like Pro Football Focus releases their annual quarterback rankings and places Geno Smith in the top 10, yes, top 10, it's time to start listening. According to PFF's breakdown, heading into the 2025 season, Geno Smith was ranked as the 10th best starting quarterback in the league. Not only that, but they placed him in their Tier 3A category. Basically, quarterbacks who are considered solid starters and have shown flashes of elite play. Now, when you're grouped in with names like Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, it's easy to dismiss the recognition as middle-of-the-pack praise. But here's where it gets interesting. PFF gave Geno an 85.8 passing grade over the last 2 seasons. For perspective, that's just 0.2 points behind Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, you heard that right. The reigning king of the NFL, arguably the best quarterback on the planet, is only a sliver ahead of Geno Smith in terms of grading over that span. And that wasn't just a fluke stretch either. Geno has quietly been one of the most efficient and composed quarterbacks in the game. He doesn't turn the ball over. He makes explosive plays when they matter most. And now, coming into a season with a slightly upgraded offensive line, though admittedly with a bit of a downgrade in receiving talent, he has every chance to keep proving the doubters wrong. The biggest thing working in Geno's favor is that he doesn't need to be flashy. He doesn't need to throw for 5,000 yards to be effective. What he brings is stability, decision-making, and just enough playmaking to win close games. And for a Raiders team that's been starving for consistency at quarterback, that's everything. So let's talk about where Geno stacks up against the rest of the NFL, particularly through the lens of this PFF ranking. The top tier, as expected, was reserved for the elite names. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. No arguments there. Those guys have either won MVPs, taken teams deep into the playoffs, or both. But when you move down to Tier 2, things get interesting. Jalen Hurts was there, of course, along with Matthew Stafford and Justin Herbert. Again, that feels about right. All of them have either proven resumes or elite upside. But it's in Tier 3A where Geno lives now, and he shares that space with Jared Goff and Brock Purdy. And I'll be honest, I don't hate that comparison at all. In fact, I think it's pretty spot on. We've seen games where Goff looks like a top 7 quarterback. We've seen others where he struggles with pressure and turns the ball over. Purdy, meanwhile, has thrived in a quarterback-friendly system in San Francisco, but there are still question marks about whether his production is a result of his talent or Kyle Shanahan's scheme. Geno, in contrast, has had to earn every inch of his resurgence. No gimmicks, no overwhelming talent around him, just solid football. Now, some of you might still be thinking, top 10? Really? But again, we're not just talking about raw stats. We're looking at situational execution, consistency, and value. Geno's been outperforming guys who were supposed to be stars. Let's not forget, he graded better than quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, and even Dak Prescott in certain metrics. And we're talking about former number 1 picks, Pro Bowlers, guys who've been in MVP conversations. Geno Smith has been flat out better in multiple key areas. Look at Trevor Lawrence, for instance. Tremendous talent, no doubt, but he's been up and down since entering the league and hasn't exactly blown anyone away with his decision-making or ball security. Kyler Murray, explosive athlete, but can't stay healthy and struggles against the blitz. Tua, incredible accuracy. But he's surrounded by elite weapons and still shows limitations when things break down. Geno has done more with less, and in a system that hasn't always been designed to make him look good. And when you start comparing Geno to the rest of the quarterbacks in the AFC West, things really start to come into focus. Of course, Patrick, Mahomes sits at number 1. That's not up for debate. But after that, it gets a lot closer than people realize. Justin Herbert is a phenomenal athlete and has an absolute cannon. But how many clutch games has he really won? When the game is on the line, who are you trusting more, Herbert or Geno? Because based on what we've seen, Geno's got the edge in poise and decision-making when it matters most. Then there's Bo Nix heading into his second year. Tons of potential. But let's be honest, he's unproven at the NFL level. We don't know what he is yet. So by default, Geno Smith ranks as the second or third best quarterback in the division, depending on how you see the Herbert conversation. And that's a win for the Raiders. How many years have they been scraping the bottom of the quarterback barrel? Now they've got a guy who's not only stable, but respected by analysts and film junkies alike. What's wild is that even with all of this evidence, there's still a perception problem around Geno. You got people out there acting like he's a liability, when in fact he's one of the biggest reasons the Raiders could overachieve this year. I mean, based on the quarterback matchups alone across the upcoming schedule, the Raiders have a real shot in most games. If you believe that having the better quarterback gives you the better chance to win, and most of us do, then it's time to start circling some potential wins on that calendar. In week 1, for example, the Raiders face off against New England. Geno is ranked 10th. Drake May ranked 22nd. That's a clear advantage, and this pattern continues. There are weeks where the Raiders clearly have the better quarterback, which hasn't been the case in years. Of course, there are also some matchups where it swings the other way, like when they go up against Kansas City. But the point is, the playing field is a lot more level than the national media wants to admit. People are sleeping on the Raiders, and a big part of that is because they still don't respect what Geno Smith brings to the table. So let's keep going, because the conversation around Geno Smith, and more importantly, the Raiders' expectations, this season doesn't stop at quarterback rankings. It's about what this team can actually do now that they have a steady hand under center. People can argue all day about whether Geno deserves to be ranked 10th or 12th or 14th, but what really matters is this. The Raiders finally have someone who gives them a legitimate shot every Sunday. And that's something they haven't had in a long time. No more hoping for miracles. No more crossing fingers that a backup level guy turns into a star overnight. Geno isn't a superstar, and he doesn't have to be. What he is, though, is dependable. And in today's NFL, that's gold. Look around the league. There are teams with elite defenses, high-end coaching, and decent rosters, but their seasons are already on thin ice because they don't have a quarterback they can trust. The Raiders aren't in that boat anymore. That's a huge shift. They can walk into a game knowing that if the defense does its job and the receivers catch what's thrown their way, Geno's not going to blow the opportunity. He's not going to panic under pressure. He's not going to throw dumb interceptions, and he's not going to crumble in crunch time. That alone raises the team's floor, and honestly, it might raise the ceiling too. You start looking at the Raiders' schedule, and suddenly things aren't as grim as some analysts would have you believe. They're projected for around 6.5 wins. But when you break it down game by game and consider who's under center on the other side, you begin to realize that this team could steal a lot more wins than people expect. Against New England, clear edge to Geno. Against Denver, advantage again. Sam Darnold might be starting, and even if he isn't, Bo Nix is still a huge question mark. The Cowboys are a tough out, sure, but Dak Prescott is not exactly consistent in big moments. Geno could go toe-to-toe with him. The Browns, they've got Deshaun Watson, who hasn't looked the same since returning. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence has the tools, but his production hasn't always matched the hype. It goes on like this. Week after week, Geno will be either the better quarterback on the field or at least not far behind. That puts the Raiders in a very manageable position. And when you factor in a defense that's improving, a coaching staff that finally seems to have a clear direction, and a quarterback who's accurate, calm, and experienced, you start to wonder why more people aren't taking this team seriously. And let's be honest for a second. Geno Smith's contract might be one of the best values in the league right now. We're not talking about a massive $50 million per year cap hit. We're talking about a mid-level deal for a guy who is currently playing at a top 12 level. That matters in a league where bad quarterback contracts can sink a franchise. Having a guy like Geno on a reasonable deal gives the Raiders flexibility to build elsewhere. They can invest in the offensive line, they can bring in more weapons, they can bolster the secondary. When you're not overpaying for the most important position on the field, you can start building a complete team. That's where the long-term vision comes in. The Raiders aren't just looking to win 7 or 8 games. They're trying to create a foundation. You bring in Geno, give him a stable system, and use him as the bridge between instability and your future franchise guy, if and when that player comes along. But here's the twist. What if Geno isn't just a bridge? What if he's the guy who takes this team to the playoffs now? What if he's not just buying you time, but actually giving you results in real time? This league is about opportunity. Some guys need to land in the right system, with the right coach, at the right moment to really shine. That's what happened to Geno in Seattle. He finally got a fair shot, and he ran with it. Now he's in Vegas, where expectations are low, and the spotlight is waiting for someone to grab it. If he can replicate even 80% of what he did with the Seahawks, the Raiders could easily finish with 9 or 10 wins. That might not win the division because, let's face it, Kansas City is still Kansas City, but it would absolutely put them in the wild card conversation, and from there anything can happen. The AFC is loaded, yes, but every year teams that are supposed to be playoff locks underperform, whether it's due to injuries, chemistry issues, or just plain bad luck. Spots open up. The key is being in position to take advantage of that. And that's where Geno puts the Raiders. He doesn't need to carry them. He just needs to keep doing what he's been doing. Protect the football, hit open receivers, manage the clock, and capitalize in the red zone. Do that consistently, and you're going to win football games. And maybe that's the biggest story here. Geno's rise isn't just about proving people wrong. It's about showing what's possible when a quarterback is given real support, when he's coached properly, when he has a front office that believes in him. That belief is contagious. It spreads through the locker room. It gives the fan base hope. It changes how opponents prepare. So while the media continues to brush off the Raiders as a rebuilding team or a roster in limbo, the truth is they might already be ahead of schedule because they have a quarterback who knows who he is, who plays within his strengths, and who's finally getting the recognition he deserves. Maybe he's not flashy. Maybe he's not going to break social media with every throw, but he wins. And in this league, that's what matters most. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling around the NFL community after recent whispers suggesting that Davante Adams, one of the league's most electrifying wide receivers, has privately expressed deep regret over his move to the Las Vegas Raiders. While Adams has always maintained a professional front, sources close to the situation hint that the star receiver has opened up to friends and confidants, admitting, "I regret it every day." The alleged confession has sparked renewed debate among fans and analysts alike, who have long speculated about Adams' happiness in Las Vegas. After leaving the Green Bay Packers, where he enjoyed a prolific partnership with quarterback Aaron Rodgers, Adams seemed poised for a fresh chapter with the Raiders. However, with a revolving door at quarterback and organizational instability, the dream scenario has yet to materialize. Those close to Adams reportedly describe his mood as frustrated and disillusioned, fueling the narrative that his heart might still be in Green Bay. Adding fuel to the fire, some insiders claim that Adams has been vocal behind closed doors about his desire for a more competitive environment, hinting at possible interest in a trade or a reunion with a former teammate. While there has been no official statement from Adams or his representatives, the growing chatter has not gone unnoticed by league executives, some of whom are believed to be closely monitoring the situation. As speculation continues to build, the big question remains: could Adams seek an exit from the Raiders in pursuit of a more stable contender? Or is this simply a moment of candid reflection, taken out of context and amplified by the rumor mill? For now, all eyes are on Las Vegas as the NFL world watches and waits to see if these whispers signal the beginning of another blockbuster player movement, or if they will quietly fade away, as so many rumors often do. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.